Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are highlighting Masters of the Universe Revelation Skelegod. He belongs to the Masterverse line of action figures, features 30 points of articulation, suggested for children ages 6 and up, and it's from Mattel, and this is Skelegod as he appears in the new Netflix animated series. All right, without going too much into the storyline, trying to avoid any spoilers, this character is essentially Skeletor, who's imbued with power, lots and lots of power, and we'll leave it at that. This is a much more deluxe figure. He costs considerably a lot more than the average Revelation figure, but it's the holiday season, and if you look around, chances are you can find this guy on sale. So go hunt around. As of this video, it's December 16th, 2021. I believe I've seen this figure on sale on Amazon. I think Target has them on sale. I believe this figure generally comes in at like maybe $29 to $30, but in some outlets you could get them for as low as maybe I think $18, which is a steal. And it's a big, bulky figure. He looks great. On the side of the box, we have an illustration of Skelegod. And on the back, another fun illustration. And here's some of the other characters in the initial wave. There's He-Man, Mossman, Skeletor, Evelyn, and we also have Battle Cat. Alright, so I'm going to read this description of Skelegod, but to warn you in advance, I'm losing my voice. I filmed a bunch of videos today, and it's midnight right now, so I've been doing this for a while, and yesterday at work I had to do an hour-long presentation, so my vocal cords are shot, but I want to finish this video review before the weekend, so I'm just going to power through it. So if my voice kind of comes in and out, just forgive me and just bear with it, and let's get started. Skelegod, the cosmic lord of destruction. Skeletor lives his life with a singular purpose: to control the unlimited powers of the entire universe. Time after time, the bane of Eternia was thwarted by He-Man and the heroic warriors. What kind of monster would be unleashed should they be unable to stop the Lord of Destruction? Surely a raging storm of horror and terror even the bravest dare not even imagine. So that pretty much sums up Skelegod, and I'm looking at his armor, and it looks like he has like an owl skull right over his crotch. So I find that amusing. Okay, let's get on with the actual review of the toy. Let's get him out of his cardboard prison. I read a couple of reviews of this figure on Amazon, and it seems like people have nothing but good things to say about this figure. I think one of the issues with the figure is that he's kind of top heavy, so he doesn't really stand up that well, but I could kind of forgive that. But for the most part, people are really impressed by the size of the figure and the sculpting and the accessories. And that's stuff I like to hear. I want to hear good things about an action figure. Alright, first impressions of Skelegod. While he's in the tray, he's massive. We have a very large figure here. He's big. He's a big boy. He kind of reminds me, like, size-wise, if I had to compare him to an action figure. He looks as tall as some of the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures. My first thought, just looking at him, he kind of reminds me size-wise as like the Diamond Select Venom figures. If you've ever seen any of those older figures, they're kind of bulky. One thing that's turning me off, and I can see through the plastic right now, is that he has a cloth goods cape. I hate cloth on action figures. It's weird. It doesn't flow well. I kind of would have liked it more so if they just gave us a softer plastic, rubbery, sculpted cape. He comes with a power sword. It comes with this flame effect, which looks like you probably plug it over his fist. Now we'll take that out for now. He comes with 2 extra hands, both gripping hands. And then the Power Sword, which looks to be identical to the one we get with Revelation He-Man. There's a cardboard insert. You know, if you want, you can save this. Use it for your shelf. Use it for a backdrop. Small diorama. It's decent looking. You might make your display look a little bootleg, but at least you have a backdrop. Okay, let's get this guy out. He has a couple of plastic ties holding him down. And let's get those out of the way. So the thing is, I hate these things. They're so annoying. I feel they're unnecessary. It seems like there should be a simpler way of holding these figures down in the tray. I'm sure, you know, in some cases it might be considered like an anti-theft deterrent, but I don't know. I liked it back in the day when you just get like one zip tie or one twist tie, and you just all you do is untwist it, and that was it. You know, there's this incessant need to, like, you know, strap this guy down by every limb. It's annoying. Let's move this aside. Alright, so we have Skelegod. Alright, so I believe this goes over with one of his fists, but let's put this aside for now. Alright. First impressions of the figure right now while I'm holding him in my hand. He's a lot lighter than I expected. For some reason I thought this guy would feel like a brick, but he's not that heavy. He's definitely tall. I'm hoping I don't have any quality control issues with him. I've had some issues with some of the Revelation figures already, like in terms of like stuck joints. And this guy, I'm hoping he's alright. I don't want to run into any problems with this one. Just give me a second here. I'm trying to get his arms into a neutral position. And already I'm running into issues. One of the arms doesn't want to rotate. Yeah, it's stuck. Okay. I'm just going to have to review it like this, as is. Alright, so I'm running into an issue here. So he has a bicep cut here, and it doesn't want to rotate. It feels really stuck. It's not tight. It just feels stuck. It might. I could probably heat it up to loosen it, but oh wait, I take it back. Yeah, there we go. I jostled it free. Alright, so it looks like we should be okay. Alright, he looks awesome, but right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this, that he looks great, but with all this excessive armor on him, it's kind of hard for me to, like, pose him and stuff without always knocking into this. And one of the pieces here, as you can see here, it's kind of warped, because it looks like it might have been placed funny in the tray, so it's just bent upwards. I could easily fix that, but yeah, he looks pretty cool. Do have some issues with him though. All right, what the hell is this? Okay, so yeah, I have an issue with this fabric cape. I don't like this material. It feels like something you'd find like at a craft store, like at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. It's kind of all right, I have dry hands right now just because it's winter, and my fingers just like kind of like sticks to it. It's kind of that weird tactile feel, and I know for some people, if you're a tactile kind of person, you'll know what I'm talking about. I do appreciate the fact that even though this is a fabric cape, at least they're giving us different shades. Like this up here is a lighter shade than this. And then he kind of has like a lighter trim down here, which is nice. And they've weighted part of the capes with these kind of like little plastic diamonds. So it's not gonna like just randomly flow around. It kind of holds it in place, which is a nice feature, I guess. I'm having an issue with the color scheme here. The blue they're using is a very kind of dark bluish gray. The application is actually well done because it almost looks like there's a wash applied to it, so it has different kind of gradations here, and it kind of gives it a rougher texture. It's not a completely solid color. It almost looks like it has a wash, so that's kind of nice. But the shade of blue is what I'm having issues with, because I don't recall Skelegod in the cartoon being this dark. I want to see in the cartoon he's a lot punchier in his colors. They're a little bit brighter. Same with his head. His face, it's a very gray. I want to see in the cartoon it might be borderline more on the yellow side. And one thing that does bother me with the color of this figure is that it's a different shade altogether than what they use for Skeletor. And I want to say in the Netflix cartoon that when Skeletor becomes Skelegod, I don't think his skin tone changes. I believe it still remains consistent, even when he transforms into the larger godlike figure. And now that I'm looking at these two closer together, this one, he doesn't seem as big as he did earlier. You know, for some reason I thought this guy would like completely like dwarf this one, but you know, he's not that much taller, to be honest. He's just bulkier. This guy has a cloth fabric cape also. I hate it. So let's go over this guy. Alright, sculpting wise, it's decent. I'm really amazed by the sculpting on the head. Like, so he has these horns, and it actually has like a ribbed pattern along the top. Very, very fine. Very crisp details. I like that a lot. The skull is really sculpted well. Nice hard edges. It's like I said, the only issue I have with the face is that I think it should have been colored more like a putrid yellow versus this green. Or, I mean, versus this gray. Towards the top, there's this kind of like horseshoe, and it's kind of almost like a metallic gunmetal. I love the fact that his neck here is kind of like a translucent green. Because if you've seen this on the cartoon, it's almost like a flame effect. So it's kind of cool that they're trying to recreate that. The shoulder pads kind of bother me because the rest of the figure is so very detailed, but then you come to this and it's very bare. Like, it has all the, you know, angles and cuts like it should, but it would have been nice if it had a much more rougher, like, or metallic texture to it, because it just feels like a generic plastic, you know, draped over this figure. Because even like the loincloth here, the fur diaper, it's very detailed. You know, it's colored black with a purple highlight. But it just feels like an afterthought. It feels like they could have put more work into it, like, you know, giving this a little bit more realism or texture to it. Same with the gauntlets here. I love the sculpting on the hands. His fingers, they look great. Nice, elongated. Kind of has that, like, you know. The H on his chest looks all right. I think they could have went with a different color though. The contrast is there, but doesn't, you know, scream as much as it should. Like, I believe the green in the eyes, I think those are supposed to be eyes. The green here looks a little bit brighter than the green here. The figure does feel a little bit light. For some reason I thought it'd be a lot heavier. Alright, in terms of articulation, his head rotates. Kind of look down. Looking up, not so much. He does have a cut below his chest line, so he could kind of crunch forward, not so much back. It does allow for some tilting movement, like this. It doesn't really rotate all that much, but that's alright because he has a waist cut. So he has an articulated waist. In terms of his arms, standard articulation, much like the other figures. As you can see here, they can rotate up, they can go out, bicep cut, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows with hidden pins. He has wrist articulation. And I want to say, I think if you remove his hands, if I could get them off, let me see if I can get them off. You can remove his gauntlets, which is nice. And you can put them back on. In terms of his leg articulation, he can kick up. This is a much softer plastic than some of the other figures. So he can kick up, he could kick out. He has a thigh cut right there, so he has a thigh swivel. I do like the straps that are sculpted over his legs and over his biceps. It's a nice detail. Double jointed knees, the pins are hidden, so it's an almost seamless look. He has a boot cut, and I kind of like the design on these boots also. There's like a kind of crazy skull. He has the 3 toes, much like the Revelation Skeletor figure. Yeah, so I mean, he's a solid effort, but there's just something about him that when I handle him, he feels kind of, I'm going to say kind of clumsy. Like, it feels like there's too much going on. Like, there's too many pieces of cape going on here. There's, you know, there's one piece. You know, these are almost like, feels like 2 separate pieces, and then there's this. So it just feels like there's a lot going on. It feels a little bit excessive. It really feels like they could have simplified the cape better. So I'm not sure what people are saying. I think they're saying that his knee or his ankles maybe. Like, I think for an extended period of time, I don't think his ankles could hold his weight that well. I think that's the issue people are mentioning on like some of the reviews I read. So that since the figure is kind of top heavy, that if you have him standing up, that over time, his ankle articulation, they can't bear the weight of the, you know, since he's so top heavy. And I could kind of see that. Because even though they're ratcheted or, you know, the indents don't feel as deep. So I think if you were to display this figure, you know, you might have to use like a figure stand. But for now, it seems decent. But I do get what people are saying. He does feel a bit top heavy. Now let's bring back Skeletor. So I kind of wish this guy had this flesh tone. Like I said, I don't think in the cartoon that when he transforms into this, I don't think his color scheme necessarily changes. I think it still retains the original Skeletor flesh tone. So for me, I would have preferred it if he had this flesh tone. I don't like, I can't say this enough. I do not like this cloth cape. It's bothersome. It feels weird. It makes the figure look kind of cheap and crafty. I wonder if you can remove it. There you go. You can remove it. Okay, cool. And wait, are these magnets? Okay, I'm really curious what's going on here. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, I'm not sure if this is a magnet or if these are just like pins. Alright, I take it back. They're just pins. So these are just pins that are used to hold all these pieces together. For a second, I thought that maybe this was like a magnetic cape that just kind of like kept it in place. But it's not. So for Skeletor here, you have to remove the head and then remove this upper piece to remove the cape. Whereas this one, the cape just kind of detaches. And there's 2 tabs here, so it looks like they plug in. Oh yeah, so you just take those 2 tabs right here and here, and you just drape them over this part of the harness where there's these tiny indents. You'll see an indent there and there. Yeah, there's something about this figure. It just feels very clumsy. There's too many pieces in play here, and they don't want to like work well together. Seems like everything's fighting each other. especially once you start moving the figure around. All right, let's get this back on here. And as you can hear, I'm starting to lose my voice again. But we're nearing the end of this video, so that's a good thing. Alright, so now I can't get this back on perfectly. Like I said, this figure just feels very clumsy in some areas. Like this does not want to hold in place now. Alright, so I got it on, and you want to drape this part on perfectly, I think. Alright, I think that's it. So yeah, we have Skelegod here. Alright, if I had to rate this guy numerically on a scale of 1 to 10, I might get some hate for this, but I want to say a 6, to be honest. And the reason why I say that, because I think you're not... Alright, so this is a much more... You know, you're paying a lot more for this guy than this guy. And I think there's stuff about this figure that he looks cool, but then once you start handling him, it just feels off. I know he comes with the extra accessories, like the extra hands and whatnot, but I don't know. There's part of me that kind of just feels a little teeny bit disappointed about this figure. I mean, I know I don't want to take anything away from like the sculptors and the designers, because I think they did a really good job, but as soon as I'm holding this guy, it's like I said, it feels like there's a lot of pieces in play here, and they all kind of want to fight one another. Like you start moving stuff around, and the articulation gets hindered. You know, as I showed you earlier, the cape, it doesn't want to unless I hold in place all that well if you move it the wrong way. And the cape, the fabric here, I can't stand it. It doesn't feel like, every time I pick it up, it's like latching onto my dry skin, because, you know, right now it's winter and it's like making me crazy. All right, I'm sounding nuts now. I think I'm starting to crash down from all the caffeine I took earlier today. So I'm going to wrap this video up before this drags on, and this drags on as it's doing right now. Alright, so let's talk, do you need this figure? For the most part, I think if you're a Revelation fan, I'm going to say yes. Skelegod's a very important character in the story of the new Revelation cartoon, especially in part 2. You know, this is a very important character. My big suggestion is, you know, you do need this in your collection for if you're a Revelation collector, but just be on the lookout for like getting a good bargain on this guy. You know, don't pay full price for him. I don't think this figure is worth, I think, what is it, like $30 for him at like normal retail. You know, if you could find them for like much cheaper, like at, you know, $18 to like $20, you know, then I'd pull the trigger. But yeah, don't pay full price for this. I don't think, you know, he's gonna be full price forever. He's kind of just like sitting on the shelves at Targets and at Walmart, so I wouldn't doubt it that like if you saw him on sale for like, you know, like in a month or two. So yeah, just wait till this guy drops down in price, but he's definitely not worth $30. He's a great complement piece to Skeletor. And I don't know, he looks great. He looks great. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on this figure, but it's like I said, he looks cooler than when you handle him, if that makes any sense. Like, he looks awesome if you just have him standing in like a static pose. But once you start handling him, for me at least, it just feels like there's something off. But, you know, that's just me. I'm kind of, you know, I could be an idiot sometimes. So yeah, let's wrap this up. Once again, my name is Lou. This review kind of felt lackluster for me, to be honest. For one, I'm losing my voice. Two, I kind of felt a little bit disappointed in this figure. He's a decent figure. I don't know, maybe if I reviewed him on another day, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently. But for now, I kind of stand by what I said. He kind of falls short in certain places. But I do think that if you're a collector of Revelation, you do need him. So until the next video, if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, and buy lots of action figures. And like I said, you know, don't buy this guy at full price. Wait until he's on sale. So I'll talk to you later. Later.